Mildenhall in Suffolk. There's the parish church on the left, the biggest in the county, and the covered medieval market cross on the right. My objective is to pick up the route of the Mildenhall and Burnt Fen Turnpike, later designated the A1101 in the 1920s. Welcome to the ride. It's good to have your company. And here's the A1101, which I join at this junction. The current A road goes straight on. I'm following the original route, which bears left. Opened in 1828, this was one of the last turnpikes established. The trustees wanted a connection to Littleport and roads leading on to the ports of Wisbech and King's Lynn. It was so late because of its dependence on a road across the old and new Bedford rivers, which I'll come to later up ahead. Still on the old road, but up ahead it comes ignominiously to an end. Why? RAF Station Mildenhall opened in 1934, the airfield was built over the road. Having skirted the airbase, I'm now entering Cambridgeshire with Shippy Hill Station up ahead, named after nearby Shippy Hill, which rises to the dizzying heights of naught, yes, sea level. Shippy Hill Station has been recorded as the least used railway station in Britain. Now on a dead straight course to Littleport, even though it bucks and bounces over the shrinking peat, something that's not picked up on a self-levelling GoPro. This is Burnt Fen, after which the old turnpike took its name. Here the A1101 has the honour of being the lowest A road in the UK. Having crossed the bridge over the River Great Ouse, I'm leaving the modern A1101, which continues as a bypass around Littleport. Instead, I'm following the old A1101, formerly the Littleport to Welly Turnpike, along Wisbech Road, through the heart of Littleport itself. At its heart is the Church of St George. Fine and lofty, the 15th century tower can be seen from miles around. But at the other side of the church is a monument of a very specific interest to motorcyclists. It's to that I now wend my way. Harley Davidson motorcycles, Littleport, Harley 2003. William Harley, whose son, William S. Harley, co-founded the Harley Davidson Motor Company. This stainless steel monument celebrating Littleport's connection to the famous brand, however tenuous, was unveiled in 2003 and depicts a 1937 knucklehead. It was commissioned to celebrate the 100th birthday of the Harley Davidson Company in 2003. Relatives of the Harley family still live in the area. So having continued through the village, I rejoin the A1101 where the bypass reconnects with the old turnpike route at this roundabout. From Littleport, I've crossed Mare Fen at or just above sea level, and up ahead is the Great Bank holding back the new Bedford River. At this road junction too, I leave Cambridgeshire to enter Norfolk. This man-made river was cut in 1652 as part of Bermudan's grand plan to drain the fenlands. It runs dead straight from Erith to the Denver sluice for 21 miles. The great banked earthworks were dug by Scottish prisoners of war captured in the Battle of Dunbar. From here, I'm looking for the bridge over the river. I find it at a small settlement called Suspension Bridge, aptly called because a suspension bridge was erected here in 1826. It had a central carriageway with a footpath on either side. It was replaced in 1926 by a concrete bridge with a central concrete arch. In 1996, this bridge was replaced by the modern steel and reinforced concrete structure you see before me. The new Bedford River runs parallel with two others, the River Delf and another man-made river of Bermudans cut between 1630 and 1636, known as the Old Bedford River. The land between them is known as the Washers, and these flood each winter, with the water being contained by the banks of the parallel man-made rivers. And there you see the flooded Washers. The A1101 that runs across the bridges, over the rivers, is frequently covered by floodwater after prolonged heavy rainfall upstream in Bedfordshire and Northamptonshire. This can result in a long diversion. Thankfully, no road closures today, despite weeks of rain. So, let's take a look at the road over the Washers. The water is high and lapping up the side of the road, but thankfully not flooding it. This road across the Washers was built in 1820. It was this road, of course, that made the project of a turnpike to Wisbech possible in the first place. I'm now crossing the River Delf on a late 20th century concrete bridge. Now the Old Bedford River on a concrete bridge of 1994. And so into the village of Welly. And here's an interesting relic of a bygone era. An old milestone at Lake's End, just beyond Welly, placed here by the Wisbech Turnpike Trust. The inscription reads, Ely 13 miles, Wisbech 11 miles, in the parish of Outwell. Travellers in the other direction get to Ely via Littleport. Still on the A1101, I've passed through the village of Outwell, and I'm now in the conjoining next village of Outwell. The wide grassy verge to my right used to be water. I'm crossing what was the canal to travel down the other bank. The canal used to occupy the space taken up today on my left with trees, bushes and grass. To the left of the roundabout up ahead, there used to be the old canal basin of Outwell. From this point, an arm of the canal used to continue on to Wisbech. It was opened in 1797, abandoned in 1926, and filled in during the 1970s. From here, the dead straight modern A1101 runs on top of the filled-in canal, bypassing the winding course of the old road. From 1883, a tramway cum railway used to run near the canal to Wisbech. Here's the steam tram engine that worked on the line. Aficionados of Thomas the Tank Engine will know this unusual steam tram as Toby the Tram Engine. The Reverend W. Awdry, author of the Thomas books, was the vicar of nearby Emneth and took his inspiration from the Wisbech tramway. Sadly for Toby, the tramway closed in 1966, many years after it had already made the canal redundant. In Wisbech now, having passed from Norfolk into Cambridgeshire, this dual carriageway was built on top of the filled-in canal in the late 1960s and 70s. It follows the canal's course right up to the point where it meets the navigable River Nen. And that's where I am now, by one of the town's flood prevention gates next to the River Nen, near to where the old canal met the river and the port of Wisbech. So, having taken an ordinary road with a turnpike history from Suffolk to Cambridgeshire to Norfolk and back to Cambridgeshire, to find it is the lowest A road in the UK, with the least used station, a monument to Harley Davidson, near flooded washers, with a lost canal haunted by Toby the Tram Engine, this is where I take my leave of the A1101, just an ordinary road. Thanks for joining me on the ride today. If you've enjoyed what you've seen, please like, subscribe, perhaps even share. I'll then let you know when I'm next out and about. For now, I'm done.